Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Trout Academy. I'm Derek Olthuis, and today we're going to be talking about how to catch trout. So imagine this. It's a warm spring day. You walk up to the river, and there's fish rising. How do you catch those fish? Today, we're going to break all that down. We're going to look at your leader, your fly selection, the rod and reel setup, and the biggest component is how you approach that fish. The purpose of this video series is to help you succeed on the water. Fly fishing at times can seem pretty overwhelming, especially to a new angler, and it doesn't have to be. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to sit back and observe. I'm going to watch how the fish are feeding. Are the fish feeding on dries? Are they feeding subsurface on nymphs most of the time? Are they feeding in the surface film on emergers? As I get closer to the water, I'm going to look and see, are there more adults on the water? Are there more emergers? Then I'm going to pick through my box and find a fly that matches the size and color of what the fish are eating. After I've got my fly, I'm going to make sure that I've got the right leader on. So most people are going to show up with a 9-foot leader that they bought at the fly shop, and that's all right. I personally prefer a leader that's a little bit longer, and I tend to build my own. I think a 12-foot long leader is better, and when I build it like this. I build it starting with a heavy butt section, something like a 12-pound Maxima, and then I step down and I would go to maybe a 10-pound Maxima or something like 0X. Then I'm going to step down again and I'm going to go to like a 18-inch section of maybe 2X, and then the last section of my leader I would go to 4X, and I would do 4 feet of 4X. And the reason that I'm going to go 4 feet or more of the last section of leader is because that longer piece of lighter material will not transfer energy as well. So what happens is you cast out, that's actually going to land and it's going to be shaped like this. And what that's going to do is it's going to allow you some play while it sits on the water and hits different currents. If your fly rolls out and your leader's perfectly straight, you're going to get drag sooner. So that longer piece of tippet on the end is actually going to allow you to have a better drag-free drift for a longer time. My particular setup in this scenario would be an Orvis H3 4-weight in the F series. F is for finesse. I personally prefer a rod like this because it's a little bit softer, and when you set the hook you're going to be able to protect those tippets. Then I would go to a reel like a little click pawl reel, and the reason being you don't need a super expensive high-end reel. Most of the fish that you're going to catch on a dry fly are going to be relatively small, and they're not going to run you way far in your backing or anything. So a click pawl reel is going to do the job just fine. The next thing, and probably the most important part of all of this, is how you approach the fish and get set up. Let's say that the current is running like this. The fish is up here. I'm going to set up off to the side of the fish. I'm going to make sure to check for shadows or, back casting room and all that stuff so that I don't spook the fish and I set myself up for success. And when I cast, I'm going to cast up. My fly line is going to land over here to the side of the fish, and my leader is going to land above the fish with my fly feeding directly down to it. That way the fish isn't going to see a mess of leader or line before it sees my fly. And it gives me the ability, let's say I make a bad cast, my line is going to come down over here off to the side of them instead of right on top of that fish. Way less likely to spook him. The other thing is I can move and find an angle where I can actually see and watch that fish. And I'm gonna get a better chance as that fish rises up to actually eat my fly. I can see him coming up before he eats it and get prepared and ready for that. And if he happens to reject my fly, then I can adjust. I can say, okay, maybe my fly had a bad drift. Maybe it's not the right color. Maybe it's not the right profile. And I can go back and switch because I know that that fish rejected my fly for some reason. Hopefully all this information is super helpful for you guys. Next time you're on the water and you're in a scenario similar to this, it should benefit you, and you can look at, you know, tying the right fly, selecting the right leader, and then approaching the fish in a way that gives you the best chance of catching him. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Hey, you thought this video was over. Wrong. This is my favorite part, where I get to ask you to like, subscribe, or share this content with a friend that you think might benefit from it.